Your sound quality is really good. We can
Thank
hear
you. Yep, thank you so much. I'm in my little office space and on my laptop, so it's working pretty well.
Good.
Now, where did you say you're located at again?
I'm out of Western Massachusetts.
Western Massachusetts.
Actually, Holyoke. My hometown is Holyoke.
Holyoke. There's a good school there.
That's right. I went to school at Mount Holyoke.
We're just finishing up our chat, and then we'll get going with the official presentations. Anyone else who wants to chat, you have 1.5 minutes.
Quickly chat now.
Stop it.
I just hope that our federal agents make it back in time from lunch for the 1 o'clock hour.
Me too.
We're back.
Hey, can someone tell me if they
I
can?
don't see.
Your camera is really dark. Like you're
My
not.
camera's dark, huh?
Yeah.
Thank you.
You are welcome. It's very dramatic. You're very backlit, so that's kind of cool. But it's nice. A different kind of, aesthetic.
All right, we'll try to figure that one out.
Actually, that's not Darlene who's that backlit. That's a
There I am.
Oh my gosh.
No, that's Darlene.
The G-Man, you have to give us your mission now. What's our mission?
Okay, so we are going to get started in just a minute here. Our schedule is that Dario and Darlene will be presenting first, and that's just to give an opening presentation and to address any questions that may come up. They can talk, give you up to 20 minutes. 15 minutes maybe would be better, because then we'll have more time for questions afterwards. And then after Dario and Darlene, then Howie and Angela will be talking for the next 15 minutes and fielding questions if they wish. And then David Rold will speak for 15 minutes or fielding questions during that time. So that'll give us about 45 minutes. And then after that, we'd like to just have an open question and answer session with all the candidates. So again, first Dario and Darlene can split up the first 15 to 20 minutes between the two of them, however they choose. I'm going to mute everyone else except for Dario and Darlene right now.
Lisa, this is Jody. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, I can't find my little box. I went off and I came back on, and I don't see me on the grid.
Well, luckily there's so many of us now, you have to scroll around a little bit to find yourself, which is great.
I saw you, Jody. I know you exist.
Okay, that's fine. I'm happy. I don't see how to scroll, but I'll figure it out. Thank you. Cheers, everybody, and hello.
Okay, Dario and Darlene, if you want to go ahead, and I'm going to mute everyone else.
All right. Okay. Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, actually, I'm going to mute everyone except for Dario. And then, Darlene, when you want to speak, you'll have to unmute yourself, because it just works better if there's only one person speaking. So I'm going to go ahead and mute everyone else, okay?
Yes, and I'm probably going to end up speaking as opposed to sharing video quality, because I'm not sure it's working very well on my side.
That sounds good. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to once again be able to speak to our wonderful Green Warriors in Washington. I've made multiple physical appearances in the state. It's unfortunate I'm not able to do that at this time, considering the current crisis that we are all going through together, but I'm confident that we will see our way through this together and become stronger, not just as a party, as fighters for the future of the planet, but as a nation. My name is Dario Hunter. I am a candidate for the Green Party presidential nomination, and I'm a lot of things. I've worn a lot of different hats. I have been an educator, an educational administrator, a lawyer in environmental law. and I have been a member of the Youngstown Board of Education. I'm presently the only candidate in this race who has served in elected public office. And in each of the fights that I've engaged in, whether it's to ensure that we have equal opportunity in education and that parents and communities have voice and choice and say, or it's to protect the environment as an anti-fracking activist, as I was in the Mahoning Valley in Ohio, all of those fights have been informed by my desire to put that choice and voice in the hands of the people, and by my personal experience having come from a background that a lot of Americans would find familiar in terms of disenfranchisement and in terms of being subject to the greatest of abuses by this profit-driven, corporate-motivated system. I grew up in a working poor family in the projects in Newark, New Jersey, and spent much of the rest of my childhood in Jersey City in what could be charitably described at that time as a slum. And I saw personally as my ticket out education. And so I studied very hard. And I did have some lucky breaks through hard work, yes, but definitely circumstances that not everyone's been able to take advantage of. I went through Princeton and through 3 law degrees. And what that told me and underlined for me was that we have a serious problem, a serious deficit in this country in the ability of people to achieve the things that we say compose the American dream. You know, George Carlin quipped famously that they call it the American dream because you have to be asleep to believe it. For much of this country, there is absolutely no means of achieving that dream of being able to move forward and see personal advancement as well as the basic standards, at least, of living. And so our campaign is focused on all of these people-centered issues. And what distinguishes our campaign, besides the fact that it includes 2 activists who have experienced a lot of the abuses of this hyper-capitalist system, 2 persons of color from similar circumstances, our campaign's policies represent the best of that kind of empowerment politics intended to empower disenfranchised communities. And what do I mean when I say that? We are talking about the environmental agenda as a green campaign, of course, and we support the Green New Deal. We support 100% transition to renewable energy and the mass mobilization that will come along with that, millions of jobs created by that, which will help hurting communities like Youngstown, Ohio, still suffering due to the economic downturn and the downturn of the steel industry from the 70s and forward. But we're also talking about building a more peaceful global community. And we realize the necessity of that in solving the issues related to global climate change. We must reframe our diplomatic relationships with countries all across the world in order to work shoulder to shoulder as equals to solve. We have to work with nations like Russia and China that we have been trained to hate, but we must work with in order to resolve this problem. China being at the top of the carbon emitters list in many ways, from the West to China, we have to end that. And so when we deal with this as the global problem that it is, rather than just looking at it as something that happens within our borders and can be solved within our borders in a very American, ethnocentric kind of way, instead of looking at it that way, when we take a global scope, we will be able to solve the global extent of the problem. And of course, our Green Path Forward includes that, as well as dealing with the multiple environmental crises that threaten our planet all across the globe, from plastic pollution and its contribution to greenhouse gas emissions to the peak meet by 2030 in order to resolve this climate change catastrophe issue. And we are committed to that. We are the campaign at the forefront of talking about that. And of course, nitrogen and phosphorus pollution as well are part of our comprehensive Green Path Forward. But when we talk about 2 candidates, myself and Darlene Elias, my running mate, who have walked the walk and talked the talk, we, in terms of policy, are advancing a very progressive and very specific agenda to deal with the many ways in which there happens to be a gap between the rights we say on the books and the real world experience of many marginalized minorities in this country. And we call this the People of Color Bill of Rights, dealing with everything from police brutality, our broken justice system and the broken public defender system that claims to provide equal representation to all Americans but doesn't, redlining in our communities in over 60 urban areas all across this country, the discrimination in our banking and financing industry that's led to that, environmental and educational racism, the need to abolish ICE and deal with the human rights abuses happening at our border, and the need for reparations with descendants of enslaved Africans, but also in regards to the indigenous peoples in this country, there's a need for a reparative process as well. We're seeing in the midst of COVID-19, the many ways in which they have been mistreated and continue to be so, are being laid bare by the experience that they are having, the negative experience that they are having at a higher level than the general population in the midst of this crisis. Okay? Advocacy to be a voice for the voiceless. But we are also unique as a campaign that does so resolutely. We are talking about a Department of Peace, folks, and the only Green campaign thus far that is advancing that notion. I'll admit it's not a new idea, but it's one whose time is overdue. We want to end the military as we know it. We want to end the military-industrial complex, and we don't just want to slash a bit off the top. U.S. imperialism and colonialism needs to come to an end, and instead, we need to have a Department of Peace actively engaging in peace building all across the globe, helping to improve quality of life all across the globe so we can resolve and end conflicts before they happen. We as a campaign also are putting forward a very ambitious COVID-19 plan, and that COVID-19 plan includes not just Medicare for all and nationalization of the medical supply, which some other candidates might advocate for as well. But our COVID-19 plan includes no rent, no mortgage, no eviction throughout this crisis. It includes $2,000 per person per month UBI because Americans need relief. Every day, Americans need relief, okay? And it includes dealing with the war agenda, ending sanctions that are putting a stranglehold on countries, and ensuring that we have housing for all Americans. In some cases, turning over governmental properties for that, but in general, moving towards a mass mobilization that will allow all Americans to be able to enjoy that American dream, at least on a basic level. And so we as a campaign are fighting the good fight on the causes that make everyday America, and we are doing so in a distinctly and uniquely progressive way that is informed by the unique and distinct experience of the candidates themselves, myself and Darlene Elias. And speaking of Darlene Elias, I'm so proud to have her on this team and proud of her history as a social justice activist, as an activist in housing, as an activist for women's rights, someone who is well known in her community in Holyoke, Massachusetts. For
Hi, Darlene. Can you click?
I'm here. I can hear you, but I'm going to have to only speak because apparently you can't see my camera very well, or my camera's not operating very well in this program, and I've never had a problem with it, not with Zoom anyway, or Skype.
Could you turn off your screen share? Click on the very bottom left.
Okay, let me see. Turn off the screen share. Oh, I see. Okay, hold on a second. So how do you do that? I have this, it says your entire screen, application window, and Chrome tab.
You're good now. You can talk now.
Okay. So I'm okay?
Yep, go ahead.
Are you able to see me? It's still dark a little bit, huh?
You can see you.
Okay, so I don't know how well you see me, but that's okay. I'm going to try to manage this. My name is Darlene Elias, for those of you who don't know me, and I want to thank Washington for giving us the opportunity to speak this afternoon with you. Just to give you a little bit about my background, I've been a part of the Green Party since 2011. And when I first came into the Green Party, I came in as an activist championing a cause. And that particular cause was, I was seeking some assistance from the Green Party to help resist and prevent the demolition of an apartment complex that I grew up in here in Holyoke. And I was able to effectively do that by rallying community support, getting the assistance of the Green Party, organizing the tenants, and filing a discrimination lawsuit, actually, on behalf of the tenants. And interesting enough, the individual who helped me with that endeavor was a lawyer who did it pro bono. And he happened to be the co-chair of the local chapter of the Green Party. So I've been around for quite a bit. And since that time, I have held different roles and have functioned at different capacities within the Green Party. In particular, I've been a national co-chair. I have been a Massachusetts co-chair. I have served on the state committee. I've done quite a few things. Politically, I've also run for office with the Green Party. I ran as a city councilor, first at large and then for my ward on 2 different occasions. And now I am the vice president pick for Dario Hunter, which I'm very proud of. And I think that the main reason why I'm doing that is because I want to demonstrate, one of the main reasons anyway, is I want to demonstrate that the Green Party has some really strong candidates and viable candidates that are educated, that have something to offer the table, that they're very progressive, that they're on the left, that they stay true to their values and convictions, that they don't allow themselves to be corrupted by the system. And one of my main concerns has been, ever since I've been political all my life, to be honest with you. I have a bachelor's degree in political science from Mount Holyoke, and I have a master's degree in social work from Springfield College. But, you know, ever since I've been very, very political, one of the things that has been very, very concerning to me is how corrupt our political system is and how it needs to change. And, you know, when I first started being political, I have to admit that I was a Democrat and I did vote for Obama and I did fall for I did drink the Kool-Aid, as I say. And I was hoping for change that we could believe in. But as my consciousness raising, you know, as I became more aware as an individual, as a person, I came to understand that we are never going to have any progress with the current political system as it stands, because it's very corrupt and it's very bought out by corporations. And there are so many injustices that happen in society. And although we, the American people and the American voters, really would like to see some justice, we can't get justice because of the way the system is and how corrupt it is and how entrenched it is. And so, you know, one of the reasons why I've jumped on board with the Dario Hunter campaign is because I really would like to see change in a system that is broken. And the only way that we're going to be able to do that is to make sure that the system is dismantled, that is built up from the bottom up, that we, you know, institute changes that are going to allow for more progressives and people from the left to get voted into office, that we're going to implement measures where people are not going to allow themselves to be influenced by particular interests or parties or special interests, such as, you know, the military industrial complex, the prison industrial complex, big pharma, banks, corporations. These are all issues that are really impacting the quality of life for many United citizens. And, you know, and citizens all over the world. And people talk a really good game, you know. You have Democrats that pretend to be progressive. You have Democrats like Sanders and Warren who, you know, pretend to really want to be for the people and fight for issues that are important to us. But then the bottom line is these systems fail. They're not able to implement any good social programs or policies that are really going to change, you know, the quality of life for people on this earth. And issues that are really important for me is, you know, implementing policies that are going to minimize or change the disparities that exist in this world. And I'm not talking about disparities only in the sense of racial disparities, or poverty, but I'm talking about disparities as they exist all around the world. You know, hunger is a major issue. War is a major issue. Climate change is a major issue. And these are all things that are very, very important to us. The Green Party has the most wonderful platform there is. And I am a Green because of our Green Party platform. The problem is the way the system exists as it is, we're not able to implement or bring to fruition any of these policies that we have or these platforms that we have with the Green Party. And we make some really, really good suggestions, but until we have systemic change and we dismantle the political system as is, these things are not going to come to fruition. I'm also interested in party building. One of my concerns is that at times we have some really, really good Green Party candidates that come forward and run for office, and they're able to move, they're able to mobilize, they're able to build. The issue at hand is that if and when they do bring people into the party, we're not able to retain some of this membership. We're not able to effectively mobilize and use the membership in many different ways, as far as fundraising goes, as far as mobilizing and championing our causes, as far as political building, you know. And so these are things that we really, really need to take a look at as a party. And I'm in it for the long run. Again, I'm not somebody that just came here just the other day. I've been here since 2011, good or bad, and I have been dedicated to the Green Party. And I know that the Dario Hunter campaign and Darlene Elias campaign is really, really genuine, honest, and sincere. And even when the campaign is over, we're still going to be around. And thank you for your support today.
Thank you, Dario and Darlene. Next up on our agenda are Howie Hawkins and Angela Walker. So Howie, you're up.
Make sure to unmute.
Yep. How about now? Can you hear me now?
Sounds good.
Yes.
Okay.
You can, sir.
Well, it's good to at least see your initials. I wish I could see your faces. I wish I was there in person, but that's the situation we're in. I see a few faces now. Look, I'm a retired Teamster. I was a construction worker before that, but that was to pay the bills. I've been an activist since the 1960s, coming up in the San Francisco Bay Area. Civil rights, anti-war, the cutting edge of the ecology movement back then, and got committed at that time to an independent working class party committed to participatory democracy, democratic socialism, and ecology, and was involved in early efforts at a independent left party, Peace and Freedom, People's, Citizens, and got invited to the first national organizing meeting for a Green Party, August 1984 in St. Paul. And my message there was, we can't build this out of a presidential race. We got to build it from the bottom up. Get organized local groups and start getting involved in local politics and build a base. And we proceeded to do that for a dozen years. So when Ralph Nader let us use his name, he didn't actively campaign in 1996, we got him on the ballot in over 30 states. So that laid the basis for 2000 when we got on over 40 states and the Green Party got into the national spotlight. And I've stayed involved since then. The Green Party in New York's run me for governor 3 times, and we got enough votes for a ballot line each time. So I'm running for president still to build the party from the bottom up. And we have 2 goals. One is to put green solutions into the national debate, and the other is to build the party in order to get those green solutions into the national debate. So let me start with some of those solutions. There are a lot of issues, but I'm gonna hit on 4 life or death issues we're facing right now. Obviously, the coronavirus health and economic crisis is a big issue, and we're not getting a response from the government. Obviously, Trump is incompetent, Biden is invisible. The 2 governing parties are presiding over a failed state. And this is an opportunity for the Green Party to step up and point in the right direction. First of all, we need immediate relief for payroll and income and housing and food, workplace safety, and other protections in the immediate crisis. And the other thing is we're facing not just a dive into this depression because we shut down. We're in a situation where consumers are holding on to what money if they still got it to pay for essentials. So consumer demand is down.